Welcome to The Nation Wants to Know. In the course of our politics, we come across personalities who you feel are at an inflection point, not just for themselves, but in terms of what role they will have going forward into the future. With me in the studios today is a person who's a very interesting politician. He's from Odisha. He was one of the founding members of the Biju Janata Dal, and he walked out of the party 12 days back in what appeared to be a very painful separation, if I can put it mildly. And all eyes are now on this man about town in Delhi's political circles, what I call Lutyens Delhi. Panda, Baijayant, Panda's next move will have an impact not just for the BJD which he walked out of, but on Odisha politics, and possibly the gentleman sitting here will play a very differentiated role in national politics going forward to 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, my warm pleasure to introduce here Panda. Fantastic, Jay. Thank you very much. Thank you. And may I please begin by passing on behalf of all our viewers of Republic our condolences at the recent demise of your father.
Thank you. Deeply appreciate that.
Thank you very much indeed. Jay, the nation wants to know a lot of things, and that's what the show is called today. And we hope that you will break out of political correctness to tell us what your next move will be. Was quitting on Naveen Patnaik a long-drawn decision, or was it on the spur of the moment?
You know, I have been involved with the party from the beginning for 21 years and have stood with Naveen Patnaik and the party through thick and thin, through many crises which I helped to manage. And it was only in the last 3 or 4 years that things had started going wrong. After privately trying to resolve issues inside the party, last year I started speaking out in public because Naveen Patnaik himself, after our electoral setback in the Panchayat elections, asked for public introspection. And then everybody in Odisha who has been watching Odisha has seen how things have deteriorated over the course of the last 1 year, including humiliations to me, physical assault. And this was the last straw. My father had nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with my politics. He was a close friend and associate of Biju Patnaik for many decades. For Naveen Patnaik to not come or not allow anybody from the BJD to come and pay their last respects has been widely criticized in Odisha, and it deeply hurt me. It made me realize that I should be ashamed to be any longer a part of a party which in any case in the last 3 or 4 years has deviated dramatically from its original principles, but has now come to such a low level, such mean-mindedness, such pettiness, that I decided it was time to move on.
Your resignation letter to Naveen Patnaik is a case in point of what you don't see in Indian politics today. More often than not, the tone of a political resignation is of bitterness and anger, but yours was strong with emotion and almost a tone of personal betrayal. And you said, I had stood by you and the party through thick and thin, unhesitatingly helping you to take on the many challenges. Before I get into the details, was it personal betrayal that made you snap?
Well, yes, I was deeply personally hurt because our families have had a relationship for many, many, many decades. And I've been involved with the party from the beginning, as you've pointed out. But it was not just personal. The party has strayed in the last 3 or 4 years from its original principles, of which I was a very proud member. It was becoming untenable for anybody who believed in those principles, who wanted a party of transparency, wanted a party which acted against criminalism and gundagiri. It was becoming untenable to continue in that situation.
And all of this happened together. You say in your resignation letter, although things have been going from bad to worse for the last many years, it has plumbed the absolute depths of inhumanity when neither you nor anyone from the BJD turned up to pay their last respects to my father, Dr. Panda. Now, why didn't he turn up? You know, you lost your father at a time when your relationship with Naveen Patnaik had turned more than frosty. Do you think Naveen Patnaik not coming for your father's funeral was putting a political relationship over a personal one? Because I saw the pictures from your father's prayer ceremony, everybody was there. Manmohan Singh, L.K. Advani, Murli Manohar Joshi, everybody was there. It stood out. So what happened? Tell me the real story.
You know, even if I had been an opponent or an enemy of someone, they should still nevertheless come for the funeral if they can. And I was not Naveen Patnaik's opponent or enemy. It was sheer pettiness, it was sheer mean-mindedness. What really hurt me is that several BJD colleagues conveyed to me, directly and indirectly, that they had been restrained from coming to pay their last respects to a man who was, Biju Patnaik is the person after which the BJD is named. And my father was, it's widely known in Odisha that my father was a very, very close friend and associate of his for many decades. That kind of disrespect shows to what level this party has fallen.
In May, our BJD workers pelted stones and threw eggs at you when you were present to inaugurate a water tank project. You said, forget stones and eggs, they cannot cow me down by using even bullets. Looking back at what happened, what really is this fight about? Is it a fight over the control of Orissa? Is it that you want to be Chief Minister of Orissa? Are you keen to come back? Are you making Naveen Patnaik insecure? What is the reason for this? Or is it that you want to now take over the legacy?
This incident when I was physically assaulted happened last year, May, and it was tragic. That was in fact a major inflection point. It was tragic because it was done by BJD people under instruction from above. And what was even worse is that 2 days before that, they had a press conference on television threatening this violence, and there were several platoons of police which stood by, did not stop this violence. Nobody was arrested for many months until embarrassing questions were asked in the assembly, and then somebody was arrested and let off. What really hurt me then is that…
Who ordered your physical assault?
Well, a lot of people are pointing to the highest levels of our party.
You think Naveen Patnaik wanted you physically assaulted?
Look, the facts are as I told you, and what hurt me was that Naveen Patnaik did not call me to ask me if I was safe and if I was unharmed, which I was not. I have had a damage to my shoulder from that incident for which I am still undergoing treatment.
You think Naveen Patnaik, the Chief Minister, wanted you physically assaulted?
I find that hard to believe, but there have been a lot of talks that there is a new coterie in the last 4 years which has taken control of the party and taken control of the party president, and that…
what do you mean taken control of the party president?
Look, we have seen other examples in India. For example, in a southern state, a very major political leader who had been chief minister many times in her last few years was seen to be somewhat controlled by her constant companion who wouldn't let anybody else even meet the chief minister. And we have a similar situation in the last 4 years in Odisha. And which is why, it's not just I saying this, by the way. Many of your viewers may be not familiar with Odisha politics, so it's important to say that several major political leaders have pointed out that the party has veered sharply away from its original principles in the last 4 years. What was true for the party for the first 17 years has not been true for the last 4 years.
You're of course talking about Jayalalitha, being in the grip of Shashikala. Who is Naveen Patnaik in the grip of?
I think it's widely known, it's been talked about a lot. There is a new coterie who weren't around any time in the beginning of the party. Most importantly, there is a serving bureaucrat who it has been alleged is collecting political funds, is distributing political funds, is distributing party tickets. And as I said, there are several major political leaders who have made these allegations.
Who are you referring to?
Well, the name is well known to everybody.
Who are you alleging?
You should have your reporters do some research and find out the name.
Why are you being coy about it? Are you referring to the Under Secretary of the Chief Minister of Odisha, Naveen Patnaik? Are you referring to a certain Karthikeyan Pandyan who serves as the Under Secretary of Naveen Patnaik?
That's the person that many people have made allegations. It's serious because if
you're saying he's the de facto Chief Minister.
Many people are saying that.
Now, what do you think?
Well, I think it's odd that a serving officer is alleged to be indulging in direct politics. I think it calls for a major investigation. I think it's odd when people have reported widely that in the last 3 or 4 years, no one is able to meet the Chief Minister directly and are taking political instructions from this serving officer.
You realize how scary that situation is for people watching here. You're saying one of the large states of India is not being really ruled by the Chief Minister who's abdicated power to a bureaucrat?
I'm saying that there is an unconstitutional exercise of power taking place. But in reality, ultimately, it is Naveen Patnaik whom the people have elected, and he has to be accountable. And this is a matter of serious concern.
You said in January this year, when an officer forgets the service code, crosses the Lakshman Rekha, involves himself in politics, meddles in party affairs, and gives shelter to those who are involved in anti-people activities, one will have no respect for such an officer, but wouldn't have any respect for such a chief minister who allows himself, to be tuned and fine-tuned and run and dominated and supervised by such an officer. Have we have any situation here? You spoke about Shashikala controlling Jayalalitha politically, but till her last, Jayalalitha ran the state. What you're saying is Naveen Patnaik is not running Orissa. It is actually this officer who is running Orissa, which calls for a massive investigation into what's going on in the state.
Well, Naveen Patnaik is still visible at public events and not
You're
as
saying
much
he's a
as
mannequin?
earlier. Look, it's not for me to say. Because
I'm asking you. It is for you to say.
I'm not sure what the current situation is in terms of how much authority has been delegated to this unconstitutional exercise of power. But ultimately, the people of Odisha will have to hold accountable whoever they have elected.
Mr. Panda, you first said there was a seemingly power-hungry civil servant who was meddling into party affairs and anti-people activities, and then there was a U-turn within 10 days saying you wouldn't walk out. Why did you compromise on your stand and stick inside the party if the ongoings were not ethical by your standards? You should have been inside and fought it. Let me ask you, who all were involved in this powerful conspiracy to hound you out? You said there was a conspiracy to hound you out. Who was giving the instructions to hound you out? Please be very specific with me. I think you're holding yourself back, which you should not.
Well,
people across Orissa and across the country are watching this today from a national perspective. The possibility of a state not being controlled by the chief minister, being given over to someone else, with the chief minister only being some kind of a figurehead, is absolutely scary. From a state perspective, people of Orissa have a right to know what's going on there.
You are absolutely right. And, as I mentioned earlier, for 2 or 3 years, I tried to resolve matters internally. I raised these issues internally. When the BJD was formed in the late 90s, it was to battle the hooliganism, the corruption, the crimes against women, which had come to a peak at that point. And initially, for the first few years, there was indeed an improvement. There was policies in place so that there was no political interference with the police and so on and so forth. But all that has changed. We have come full circle, and it is now worse than what it was in the late 90s.
No, but you have to be more specific with me. In March, you wrote in Odia Daily, and I quote, "If we honestly introspect," you wrote, "we must acknowledge that allegations about the political environment in 1997, including widespread corruption and sheltering of powerful people committing criminal acts, are being alleged about Odisha over the last 3 years. I don't want you to hide behind words and covers, Mr. Panda. I want you to come out. Did you accuse the Naveen Patnaik government of reckless law and order, of sheltering powerful people and widespread corruption? Who are the people who are being sheltered, and what is the nature of the corruption? Please be specific. I have a feeling you're holding yourself back, which you should not. If not just for yourself, for the people of Odisha."
I'll give you a candid answer.
Please do.
That column that I wrote in an Odia newspaper was last year, March, when I first publicly spoke out.
Correct.
Before that, for 2 years, I had been speaking internally to the party president and in our parliamentary party meetings. And I realized that it was not working. I was pointing out that the BJD had slipped from its ethical stand and had veered quite away from what its original principle stood for. This happened after the BJD had a setback in the panchayat elections, and the chief minister publicly said that we need to introspect, which is why I publicly introspected in that article and pointed out certain blunt truths. Because I thought if privately discussing was not helping, perhaps bringing it out into the public finally, since the chief minister himself asked for it, would lead to results. But sadly, it did not. And we saw during the last 1 year, instead of addressing those issues.
When did you last meet Naveen Patnaik?
Well, I last
one-on-one.
It's not been possible to meet him one-on-one, as most people say, for the last several years. Even if you speak to...
You think nobody meets him one-on-one?
Well, I have not heard of anybody tell me that they've met him one-on-one for at least 3 or 4 years.
Nobody meets the chief minister one-on-one?
I have not heard that for 3 or 4 years now.
So who's with him?
The same officer is with him at all times.
You realize how scary this is? BJD controls 20 seats in parliament. There have been governments running in the country which have been led by people who have 30 or 40 seats in parliament. Naveen Patnaik is not running the party. Naveen Patnaik is not running the state.
Well, Naveen Patnaik, as I said, has once or twice dismissed these allegations. But the reality is that there is an unconstitutional exercise of power that needs focused attention to be exposed.
Have you met this officer?
Yes, I mean in the past, before he became this superpower behind the throne.
What was the conflict about?
I don't have any conflict, but I suppose, I had been a core member of the initial people who had been involved in setting up the BJD and seeing it through so many challenges over the years. So if there is a new coterie which it sort of establishes itself, I suppose from their point of view, it serves a purpose to get out of the fray those who have been in the
Why
inner
didn't you
proximity.
quit earlier? Mr. Panda, if we are hearing you saying all this, but the nation wants to know why you didn't quit earlier. If you knew all about the muck, if you knew about the wrongdoings, it's been going on for 3 years, why have we not quit in the past?
I think I have answered that, but let me say it this way.
No, you haven't really.
Okay, let me try.
Because there's been an anti-party accusation. When you were suspended in January, BJD Vice President and Minister Suryakant Patra said Naveen Patnaik has suspended Kendrapara MP Jay Panda from primary membership of the party with immediate effect for anti-party activities. Was this accusation not true? If it was not, why didn't you quit earlier over the false allegation?
That accusation is completely balderdash, and I said so. I denied it strenuously, widely in the media. But let me explain the context. You know, having been with the party from the founding and having been very proud of what the party stood for the first 10, 12, 14 years, it was very difficult for me to accept that it had become such a different animal. And that's why it was incumbent on me to try to rectify it. And that is why I spent 2 years.
You're giving an emotional answer to a political
No, I
question.
think it's rational. I think if something has been set up for the good and in fact initially did some good, we shouldn't just trash it, we should try to rectify it. That's what I was trying to do. And for the last 1 year, I publicly kept appealing to the founder president to recognize these slanders and these conspiracies and to take action. Only
but
when
you've known that the founder president has not really been in action. He's not really controlling the party. He's not controlling the state. He's a puppet. Are you saying Naveen Patnaik is a puppet chief minister?
I'm saying that
is he a puppet chief minister?
I'm saying that
I
for
want
the last
you to follow
1 year,
my word. Yes.
For the last 1 year, I kept appealing in public for him to intervene, and he did not.
Is he a puppet chief minister?
Now, that's not for me to say, but you might very well say that.
Do you disagree with me if I say that?
Well, the conclusions are there for everyone to see that he did not respond to all these serious points that have been made.
Is he being remote controlled?
Well, he says no. He has said once or twice no, in which case, you know, he will have to bear the accountability for what has happened.
Is he in a position to rule the state?
Look, he has had the blessings of the people of Odisha for 4 terms. This is now the 19th year. And you know, people of Odisha will evaluate what has been the performance over the last 19 years. There obviously must have been some good, but there will be many areas that will be questioned.
Jay Panda, you know, over a period of time, you've been at war. You were removed as spokespersons. You were denied chairmanship of the Committee on Finance in the Lok Sabha. Patra of the BJD said you were indulging in anti-party activities because after 2004, you wanted to become chairman of the Standing Committee on Finance in the Lok Sabha. They said you're an ambitious man, and your party leadership denied your ambitions. So, Mr. Panda, what if the BJD was saying publicly was not true? Then why didn't you quit earlier? Why have you taken 4 years of insults? I'm not understanding this. 4 years into your present tenure as a member of parliament and 14 days before you quit the party, a criminal case was filed against you on the charge of submitting a false affidavit for the 2014 Lok Sabha elections. What was your response to it? Especially to the timing of it. There was a conspiracy audio tape. 1 minute. Ex-president of the BJD's Kendrapara minority cell, Salim Khan, in April pulled out a 25-minute long audio tape of a telephonic conversation between him and your former political coordinator. The tape alleged that your former political coordinator was urging this member of the BJD to quit supporting you. Did you ever come out and clarify this? Were these not anti-party activities? If they were trying to shunt you out, why were you clinging on? Clinging on to the party?
No, I think you have misunderstood that tape. Let me explain.
No, I have all the details of the tape.
Let me explain. That sting audio tape, in fact, exposes the inner coterie of the BJD. These people, after stopping being my supporters, were threatening the rest of my supporters and trying to induce them to make fake allegations of anti-party allegations. That's the sting operation.
No, but why did you cling on for 4 years?
I did not cling on.
You clinged on.
It was important for me as one of the members being there from the beginning to try and rectify the wrongs in the party. You know, if something has been going well for 14 years, 15 years and starts going wrong, you don't dump it immediately. You try to rectify it. I tried to rectify it because I believe in the principles, the original principles for which the Biju Janata Dal stood. And that's why I tried. These allegations are fake. The High Court has stayed them. I have denied them very strenuously. Suddenly, the BJD finds all sorts of ills in me, which it never found over the course of the previous 18 years that I have been a member of parliament.
Mr. J. Panda, don't mind. What did the BJP tell you to break the BJD?
Of course not.
Have you been in contact with the BJP?
I have friends in every party across the spectrum. I talk to people in politics, in parliament all the time, but I'm certainly not working with any other political party.
It would be very useful for the BJP to have someone like you go inside the party. You're a dissatisfied person. You have a fine legacy, political legacy. You have 18, 19 years in active politics and a fair understanding of the state. You can be positioned, you're relatively young. You can be positioned as an alternative to Naveen Patnaik, and hence the rumour mongering that's going around is that you were told by the BJP to be their man within, to break the party, take it over and join the NDA.
First of all, that's completely false and I completely strenuously deny it. But technically, that kind of perspective can be there for any national party. Why just the BJP?
No, the BJP because of your links with the BJP.
I have links with every party.
You are pro-Modi.
It was my job to have links with every party.
You are pro-Modi.
No, I am pro-Odisha, I am pro-India.
No, you are pro-Modi. You are pro his economic policies, you are pro his initiatives, you are pro his political prowess, you are pro-Modi. Why don't you say it? You are essentially pro-Modi. Why are you being coy about it?
No, I'm not being coy.
No, Jay, you are not telling me the complete story and the people want to know what the real story is. If you refuse to give me a real reply, I'll have to remind you about things.
All right. Let me put it this way. There are indeed many things that Prime Minister Modi has championed, which I believe in. But I have been consistently a believer of these policies long before he became Prime Minister. It's in the public domain. I've been writing about this for a long time. Now that he's Prime Minister for 4 years and he champions, let's take Aadhaar. I've been championing Aadhaar for 10 years because I've seen the kind of loot that takes place in the patronage regime out in the field. Now that Prime Minister Modi has very strenuously implemented Aadhaar and saved $10 billion or more, that was the last count that I had heard, suddenly people start saying you're championing Aadhaar because you're pro-Modi. I've been championing Aadhaar for a long time. I like many things that Prime Minister Modi does. There's nothing wrong in that.
When are you joining the BJP?
Look, let me make something very clear.
I'm being very straight about it.
I understand.
Jay, you're joining the BJP.
Give me a chance to respond.
Please.
I came from a non-political background because...
But you're ambitious.
And I got into politics because I'm ambitious about changing things, about reforming the system.
Every politician says that.
No, let me be very clear. I've been in parliament for 18 years and I've never held any position.
You want to be Chief Minister of Orissa?
Let me put it this way. I have never hankered for any position.
After 15, 18 years in Delhi, you want to be either Chief Minister of Orissa or a Cabinet Minister in a Modi government.
You know what I want? If you look at the public domain, I believe I have created a credible track record of suggesting real changes in parliamentary reform, real changes that would impact development and governance on the ground. I want those ideas to succeed.
When Sonia Gandhi and Sitaram Kesri dumped Deve Gowda till 1 hour before being Prime Minister, you know, I.K. Gujral strenuously said, I'm completely against any holding of any position. I do not want to be Prime Minister of India. I would have expected Jay Panda to be more honest.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, I have never hankered for any position. Any position that might come in the future would be incidental. I'm much more passionate about the ideas that I have been espousing get implemented.
Writing and quoting in governance now, Jay Panda supported the Modi government's decision to ban the use of red beacons as a hammer blow to VVIP culture. And he went on and said that this is what my Chief Minister Naveen Patnaik has thankfully already done it. He says the ban may be symbolic but has given a huge blow to the promiscuous VVIP culture. Then in demonetization, you said, despite the inconvenience and disruption of normal life, I found it hard to find a single person against it. I found it none. You stood by Prime Minister Narendra Modi when the entire opposition was busy attacking him, including your party.
That's not true, actually.
Yes, your party's position was not very clear. Yours was.
Yes, I did support Prime Minister Modi on demonetization. So did my party. So did Naveen Patnaik at that time.
Is it true that you spoke about listening to the Prime Minister at a summit? And I think it was at the HT summit, and you tweeted, what struck me, his oratory equals Vajpayee's earthiness plus Kalam's vision.
Yes, I believe in that. I think that's true.
So you said Narendra Modi's oratory was a combination. There can be no superlative compliment in this. Jay, 1 second. Jay, 1 second. You were still with the BJD. The BJD is not part of the BJP, and you were saying that the Prime Minister, who's your political opponent, technically, is a combination of the earthiness of Vajpayee and the visionariness of Kalam. I mean, what do you expect Naveen Patnaik to do? Welcome you with open arms and say, my prodigal son, you may abuse me, go against my politics, and I will keep you in my party. Answer me right now, Jay.
Let me answer.
Repeatedly, and you know what? You even said the entire opposition was against the GST, Jay. You're a smart politician. I'm not saying you were not emotional when you quit after your father's demise, but that was your snap-out moment. On the 27th of September 2017, the entire opposition, including your party, was against GST. But you said, according to the World Bank, GST is a tectonic shift that will propel India to the 7% plus growth rate. Come on, Jay. Who are you fooling? When are you joining the BJP?
If you let me answer, I'll answer all of those questions.
Have I quoted you wrong anywhere?
I have been a supporter of GST for the 18 years that I've been in Parliament.
Is there nothing called party
I have
discipline?
been a supporter of doing away with the VIP culture, the Lal Battis, for well over a decade, for at least a dozen years. I'm glad that it happened. I would have been glad even if it had happened under any other Prime Minister. So I'm not embarrassed about admiring many of the policies that Prime Minister Modi has brought about. But let me make it very clear. It's not an easy transition that I'm going through. I have gone through heartbreak in the sense that the principles that I believed that the BJD was formed for, that it strayed from, has been quite shattering to me. I am thinking about my political future. I have not made up my mind about any particular course of action. And it's not something that one can make a simple snap judgment about.
Will you join the BJP?
I will consider all options.
You can't join the Congress.
I will consider all options. I will do whatever I think is best for the development of India and Odisha, and in a way in which I can play a role to help that happen. I will consider all options.
The last time, you don't have all options.
Maybe not.
You have only one option. The last time you named and tweeted about Rahul Gandhi was in the year 2015. And even then the tweets were jibes about Rahul. I'm not saying you were wrong. But you said on 28th April 2015, good that Rahul Gandhi is now participating in the Lok Sabha regularly. And you said, I sincerely mean that, but takes gall for him to call the Prime Minister an occasional visitor to India. So what standards are you balanced between the BJP and the Congress? You're not.
Look.
You're not. Jay, you are not.
Look, I think
Jay,
democracy...
You are not. Don't give me a theoretical reply. Please, for God's sake, give me a clear reply.
My clear reply is that I am thinking about what I ought to do. Why don't you tell me what I should do?
I'm not an advisor. I don't advise politicians.
Well, then I'm telling you what I'm genuinely feeling. I am genuinely introspecting. I'm genuinely listening to people. I'm getting a lot of responses on social media, on the ground. I'm consulting people in my constituency. You know, I spend a huge amount of time in the constituency. I spend about 2 weeks every month, month in, month out. And I've met, I've been to every single panchayat of my constituency, and every constituency in India, like Kendrapada, is the size of a European country like Estonia or Slovenia. I've been to 3 panchayats where they had never ever seen an MP before. I'm consulting these people. I want their opinion.
When Naveen Patnaik congratulated Kumaraswamy for becoming Chief Minister in what is considered a huge victory for the United Front and the joint opposition, what is your own view of the United Front? Do you see an alliance of opposition built on regional parties succeed?
We have had a 30-year period. No, I'm giving you an answer. We had a 30-year period of coalition politics, which was only changed in 2014. If you look at the arithmetic, if all opposition parties come together, then they are formidable. There's no getting away for it. I think it will be a challenge for the BJP. I think it will be a challenge for Prime Minister Modi. But politics is not only about arithmetic. So what strikes me is as follows. It's one thing to have this sort of a Mahagathbandhan for 1 or 2 seats during a by-election. It is quite another thing to have it nationwide. You saw what happened in Gujarat, where almost all parties came together. except two parties with very, very small vote shares. And even that was enough to ensure that they could not win. So I think the challenge that such an endeavor faces is, can they have a Mahagathbandhan across the country at the same time of the general elections? And what will it require? In my opinion, it will require immense sacrifices between personal egos, between ideologies. And I believe if a party like the Congress is going to be the central force of such a thing, they will have to make immense sacrifices, give up a lot of potential seats to make it happen.
Do you see that happening?
Look, anything is possible in politics. If it does happen, there is a possibility that you will have a coalition government in place, but there would not be any large party as a nucleus of it. I don't know what the impact of that will be on governance, but it is possible that they can prevail.
Jay, let's not beat around the bush about your future plans. I genuinely think you should not. You have founded a party once. You have been the face and leader of that party for a long time. Age is on your side. I want to talk about your future and your future plans. As a seasoned politician, and now you're in your 50s, you will not stay outside politics. It is a fact. In your previous interviews, you said you were mulling it over. That was 9 days ago. Please tell me clearly, what are you mulling?
First of all,
what are you mulling? When was the last time you met the BJP president?
First of all,
when was the last time you met Amit Shah?
First of all,
what was the last time you met Amit Shah?
First of all,
first of all, when did the last time you met Amit Shah?
Let me answer in my order.
You met Amit Shah?
I have, of course,
Amit
Shah is a prominent leader. He's a member of parliament where I'm a member of parliament. Of course, I've met him, but I've met prominent leaders across the spectrum in all parties.
So no, Jay, that's a very diplomatic answer.
No, let me give you a blunt answer.
What did you discuss with Amit Shah?
First of all, let me say that politics is not the be-all.
Did he give you an offer?
Let me say.
Did he give you an offer?
Let me say
that
politics is not the be-all and end-all for someone like me.
Oh, come on now, Jay. Now, Jay, that is being facetious here.
No, it's not.
You're completely a politician. 20 years ago, the BJD was founded. Will Jay Panda either form his own party, or you will rule that out, or you will go with the BJP? You have only two options.
So that's also an option I should consider, shouldn't I?
Which option?
Every option.
For founding your own party? Is that an option you're looking at?
Look, I'm not going to analyze my options without having made up my mind on air. Let me think through my options. Let me come to my own conclusion. I think while your viewers definitely deserve to get a
you would not be giving me this interview if you had not thought out your options.
No, I haven't. I'm in the process of thinking it out. And yes, I do admire many policies that the Prime Minister has implemented in the country. These are structural changes. I think they're good for the country. And I'm not embarrassed to say that. But that doesn't mean I've made up my mind. It means that I'm evaluating the road forward and what is the best way I can contribute.
Jay, if I was in the BJP, I would use you to break the BJD vote, avoid, create a broken contest, avoid a 1 versus 1 battle, break the BJD vote, help the BJP emerge with the largest vote share and become the single largest party, and therefore use Jay Panda as an icebreaker for the anti-BJP vote. This is the moral of the story everywhere. Wherever the BJP is in a 1 versus 1 contest, it is weak. Wherever the BJP is in a state where it's in a 25% game, it's a 20-25% vote, it needs to break the other party's vote rather than build on its own vote alone. Or it needs to do a mix of the two. You're a golden opportunity for the BJP. They will use you to break the BJD vote rather than give you a position within the BJD itself. Do you disagree with me on this?
That's what I'm analyzing, but I'm analyzing other possible impact of this transition of mine. My intention is not to try and break anybody's vote. My intention is to try and see that the best governance comes to Odisha. You know what has happened in these 18, 19 years? We started out in the year 2000 with Odisha being rock bottom on almost all measures.
What is the guarantee that if the BJP uses you to break the BJD vote and help the BJP get the maximum number of seats in Odisha in the next general elections, that they will prop you up as a chief ministerial face in the next state elections.
Look, you are asking about all hypothetical scenarios.
What's the guarantee that they will honor their side of the commitment?
It's a hypothetical question.
It's not hypothetical. You've surely discussed it with the BJP.
Look, it's a completely hypothetical question.
Have you discussed it with the BJP?
I have discussed political scenarios in Odisha and India
with the BJP.
Political leaders in many parties.
Not the Congress.
With many parties. I have friends in every party, and they have given me advice, they have given me analysis, and I have discussed the political scenario with many parties. It's a fact in Odisha, BJP has now become a clear number 2, which was not the case until a year or so ago. It has taken them time. They have become a clear number 2. Congress has become a distant 3rd. But neither should Congress be written off. It still has a presence all across Odisha. The BJD continues to be the leading party, but no longer as dominant as it was up until last year. So I think there is an air of expectancy in Odisha as to how the politics will play out, and I'm assessing that myself.
Jay, are you being completely honest with me?
I'm being completely honest with you.
Are you going to be to the BJP what the AIADMK is to the BJP in Tamil Nadu today?
I'm not sure what the AIADMK is to the BJP.
It's a party that will lean towards the NDA but not join the BJP.
Look, I'm being absolutely honest with you in saying that I admire Prime Minister Modi's policies, and I'm also being absolutely honest with you in saying that I'm genuinely introspecting. I'm genuinely consulting people. I urge your readers to write in and tell me what they think I should do. I'm in this process of transition. This is not something that you make a snap decision. I did not walk out of the BJD in a snap decision, as you yourself have been grilling me. I went through a great deal of turmoil in coming to the decision that it was not salvageable. I tried to salvage it, could not be salvaged. And I've explained the process to you.
How have you changed as a person in the course of the last 15 years? You've changed a lot, Jay.
How so?
Well, when you came into Delhi, you were this, this fashionable young politician there, making all the right social graces, known about in social circles. But as I meet you today, I find you more grounded. I find you changed. I find that perhaps the personal turmoils and difficulties that you've been through, and you're also fighting a Lok Sabha election, you're being a ground level worker. I find a change in you from what you were, when in your early 40s or even earlier, you had entered politics. To what extent have you changed from person who had been saying the young, dapper, socialite politician from Orissa to being a person who is potentially being seen as an individual who, if he goes through his own process of change, can one day be Chief Minister of Orissa? How have you changed?
I think you are right that these travails have
Let's not be politically correct with each other now, Jay.
No, I'm telling you honestly, I think you're right that I've had to toughen up to face these challenges. You know that old saying, anything that doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And I've had to go through hell, particularly through the last 1 year. It never occurred to me that my own party people whom I have groomed, and some of them I had arranged to get tickets to contest, would assault me physically.
Assault you physically? Is it?
The attack last year in May, when I was attacked with stones and bricks and eggs by my own party people, this kind of thing toughens you, because it had never occurred to me that this is even possible. You're right, the turning point was...
Tell me about the incident again. Recollect it for me.
You know, I have been building a large number of drinking water projects across the constituency with MP local area funds. This has been listed as the highest expenditure on drinking water projects of any MP's local area funds in the whole country. Odisha has seen nothing like it before. It certainly ruffled some feathers, and when the party started turning on me, I started facing hostility. In this particular incident in Mahanga last year, May, some of the local party elements, on instructions from above, held a press conference on TV and threatened that I would not be allowed to inaugurate this drinking water project, and that there would be violence and that I would be assaulted. So of course the police turned up. They came there were 5 or 6 platoons. There were thousands of local constituents, villagers who were desperate for drinking water projects. They are supporting me. And while the inauguration happened, these people attacked with stones and bricks and eggs, and the police stood by, didn't do anything, didn't arrest anybody. It was traumatic, not because I'm scared, As you pointed out, I said that not only stones and bricks, but even bullets will not stop me, and I've continued going and inaugurated dozens of other similar projects after that. But it is traumatic.
What I find difficult to believe is that you're painting yourself as a person who's vulnerable. You're not vulnerable.
No.
You come from a very top industrialist family. You still have strong business interests. You and your wife run a #1 regional news channel in Odisha. You are the kings of the cable distribution business in Odisha. You're a powerful media magnate come industrialist. Why you're not vulnerable? Was your business targeted? No. At no point of time your business, what do you mean yes?
First let me point out, it's anybody who has monitored developments in Odisha will know that my family members' business interests were all targeted. They were shut down on frivolous grounds. Lumpen elements came and broke and damaged offices and facilities, and the police would not act. The government was acting in a very in a manner that is just not expected, by using flimsy grounds to shut down facilities which employ thousands of people. It was widely reported in the regional media. But I want to make something very clear. When I got involved in politics, I moved an arm's length away from my family's business interest. In 18 years, no bureaucrat, no politician, either at the state or at the national level, can say that Jai Panda has ever asked for a favor. I have never asked for any favors or any pecuniary benefits. But the people of Odisha will judge whether there has been unfairness and meanness and targeting of my family relatives' interests or not.
When you speak like this, you invite more trouble?
I'm not scared of facing trouble. I don't get scared by these threats. What bothers me is that how this idea that we had started, that I was so proud of for the first so many years, became, it strikes me, that which we started out to fight, the crime, the corruption in Odisha in the late 90s, this is what our venture has become today, the BJD.
What do you mean, crime and corruption?
If you look at what has happened in the last 3 or 4 years, nationally there was an increase of attacks against children, rapes of minors of 19%. Odisha has seen a 50% rise in just the last 3-4 years. There are nearly
all the time when you were in the BJD.
This is what this is the point I'm trying to make, that in the initial 14, 15 years, there was actually a lot of good policies, and I was proud of that. In the MLAs, from 2000 till about 2014, the MLAs used to complain that they could not interfere with police, they could not interfere with administration.
BJD people say, they said Jai Panda should have kept his ambitions within check. Jai Panda should have been happy being a member of parliament. He got a lot from the party. He was ungrateful. He's ambitious. He wants to unseat Naveen Patnaik, which is why he will only be put in his place.
The answer is that's not true. The reality
Are you not ambitious?
I'm ambitious.
Do you not want to launch your own party?
I'm ambitious to have the ideas that I'm championing get implemented, even if they get implemented by other people.
Again, that's not a completely honest statement.
It is a completely honest answer. Whether I implement these ideas or somebody else. Look, I've been championing some of these ideas, like getting rid of Lal Battis, VIPs, like implementing Aadhaar, like implementing cash transfers. It's on the record. I've been writing in national newspapers for a dozen years, 14, 15 years. Now, somebody comes along and implements them in the last 4 years. That doesn't mean I'll suddenly turn against those ideas. I'm clapping from the sidelines saying, good that you're implementing it. So if I get a chance to implement my ideas, I will. If somebody else gets a chance to implement those ideas, I will support.
Well, I have spoken to people very close to Rajnikant. It was absolutely clear that Rajnikant will form his own political party and then do a deal with the BJP. And I asked why, and they said because it's important for us to retain our own identity, otherwise we will be subsumed and we will not have our own play. Those who have had the political rigor and the risk-taking ability to form their own political parties have usually been successful. The question is whether you are a risk-taker. You're a businessman, which also means that you have a risk-taking appetite. But are you a political entrepreneur strong enough to start your own enterprise? Or would you rather join the BJP? What the nation wants to know in this interview is very simple. Will Baijayant Jai Panda become the next regional party chief? Or will he become one of the senior members in the BJP alliance for 2019. The decision, I think, will have to be taken by you in the next 1 or 2 months, I presume. What are you gunning towards? Time is running out.
First of all, I don't think I should be compared to Rajnikant ji. He
I'm
has
just
a
making
different level. I understand.
Yeah.
You earlier made a reference about how I have transformed, and it's true. When I was in the Rajya Sabha
because
for 2
you've taken
terms,
a beating.
When I was in the Rajya Sabha, it was a different thing. I didn't used to have a constituency to nurture. I didn't spend that much time in the constituency. In the last 9 years, I have spent a lot of time in the field, all across Odisha, not just in my constituency. So it gives me a perspective, certainly. And all the options that you have spelled out, I think need consideration. I don't think any of these options should be thrown out of the window without consideration. And that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm mulling over. I'm consulting friends in political parties, not just one political party. I'm consulting friends in many political parties.
Which is tougher, joining the BJP or forming your own party? Which is tougher at this stage? Do you have the appetite to start from scratch, have an organic growth, or do you want a more comfortable entry into the party which is likely to, be in power if it wins the next elections in coalition or otherwise in 2019?
First of all, I think there are more than 2 options. You have just pointed out 2 options.
Which is the third option?
No, there may be other options also.
Like?
I don't know. I'll have to consider and think through other options. But these two are certainly viable options.
Gut feel.
Look, these are options that need consideration. They should not be dismissed out of hand. They both have their own challenges.
There were reports that Saurav Ganguly was considering joining the BJP 2 or 3 years back, and then eventually Saurav Ganguly was believed to have decided, he met BJP leaders, believed to have decided that it's not worth it for him to try and take on Mamata Banerjee. Again, I'm not drawing a comparison, but Saurav Ganguly also has business interests and presumably felt his business interests in Bengal would be affected if he were to politically take on Mamata Banerjee. It would work for the BJP but not for Saurav Ganguly. In a similar context, your business interests have already taken a beating. When I talk to you today, you seem to be different in the sense, you seem to be a person who has the feeling that you have nothing more to lose and you're willing to go in for a fight. But would you chicken out?
I have never let my family's extended business interests come in the way of my politics. I want to reiterate, in 18 years, nobody, either at the state or the national level can say that Jai Panda has come and solicited favors for the business. The businesses have to stand on their own. The family members who handle them will have to deal with their challenges. So that is not a factor at all. Whether they have been treated unfairly is for the people of Odisha to deal with. I will not take up cudgels on that issue. Now, the situation in Bengal is something I don't know very much in detail. I can tell you about Odisha. I'm not interested in taking on an individual. I'm not interested in breaking someone's vote bank. I am interested in the agenda in which I have been interested for 18 years happening in Odisha. It had started well, it has got derailed. It needs to happen. Odisha needs better governance. I was just telling you that starting from being rock bottom on all parameters, last of all states, we have not improved that much. In some cases, we are still last, dead last. In some cases, we are second from last. I think our best on any parameter is 4th from last or something like that. That's not good enough. That needs to improve.
How can you do it by starting a political party on your own? You know the BJP's ability to organically grow an organization. They've spent time, energy. Amit Shah does a rally every couple of weeks almost now in Odisha. The whole structure of the party is already there. They're at a 25% plus vote share. So for you to take them on would require you to have the ability to set up a parallel organization.
Look, as I said, I respect what the BJP is capable of doing. There are also, the political organizations acting or present in Odisha today, BJD and Congress, are not to be written off either. They also have a formidable machinery that operates.
You can join the Congress?
In Odisha. Look, all options are open to me. I'm evaluating. I'm taking feedback from people. I'm getting all kinds of feedback online. If you'll monitor my timelines, you'll see that. I'm giving everything due weightage. I do not want to make a snap decision because this is a very significant turning point in my life. So I'm going to consider all this. But, I too organize rallies. If you look at what I've been doing on the ground, you'll see hundreds of pictures of padayatras with thousands of people with me on each occasion. I reach out to people. I'm in touch with people. Talk to Munna Malik, who was stranded in the Middle East and depended on me coordinating with our External Affairs Ministry to get him back. Talk to Saswati Sahu, who's a meritorious student from a poor family, wasn't able to get a laptop, which I organized through a charitable organization. As I told you, I have been to each and every one of the hundreds of panchayats in my constituency alone, three of whom have never seen an MP
I'm not
before.
doubting your ability. In conclusion, I would say this, that I wish you all the best, Jay. And if you are able to make this transition, then you will be probably among the very few politicians who get a lateral entry into politics. You are from a privileged background, and you're actually turning it into reverse osmosis, where you're now turning into a mass politician. I see the hunger in you. I also see you very emotionally strung today, which is natural given, your father's demise, the difficulties that you've had.
And the pettiness and meanness that I've had to face and endure, which is getting widely criticized in Odisha, and that gives me a lot of moral support from the people of Odisha.
Now the question is, let's see in the next few months if you can be the disruptor that you want to be. But we'll be watching out for you. Jay, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for speaking up today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.